recording? You are recording. You are not on mute. I can see you. Not you, but you know, the camera. Okay, I think I need them then too. Raincoat, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Wait, so get. Okay, I know what I need to do. I don't know why we're struggling so hard today. Okay. It's because I needed to. Okay. Okay, try that clicker now. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right, good morning, everybody. You are here in session 18. So if that's not where you're trying to be, then you are in the wrong room. I just want to make sure everybody online, can you hear us okay? Before we get the presenters started with some audio issues, a couple other sessions. Okay, we're good, good. I just want a few housekeeping items. As I'm sure you all are aware, we have some CEUs available and we are using our QR code this time for the sign-in sheets that we used to have in the back. There's also a session evaluation tied to that survey. So if you could take that at the end of the session, we would really appreciate it. And then online, we'll drop a link in for the survey. And then we'd appreciate if you would take that as well online. And if you have any questions online, we do have someone moderating the chat, so you can feel free to type your questions in the chat function. I don't think I have any other comments. So I'm going to turn it over to our speakers. So thank you everybody for being here, and thanks to our speakers. So we're going to, thank you.
Okay, well, hello, my name is Jennifer Wolfe. I work for the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities as the provider training coordinator. And we're excited to be here with you today and talk about the work that we've been doing in Northwest Ohio to advance dementia capability. And as you know, the DD population is aging. People are living longer, but that brings with it some challenges. And so we are kind of here to share what we've been putting together over the past few years. So we've consulted with an expert, Dr. Phil Mckaylan, who we'll talk a little bit about later, but he shared with us that it's not if, but when some individuals that you serve will experience dementia or dementia-related symptoms. And so it's really important to think about proactive planning and accommodation for the needs of folks with dementia and IDD. And so providers can really benefit from connecting with grants and collaborations like ours for education and support of your staff and planning ahead. So we wanted to share our experience because the DD systems and aging systems are working together to build bridges in various parts of the state. So there's opportunities to plug in different areas, and Marty will talk about that in a little bit. So why, I kind of shared a little bit, but why this collaboration? Dementia generally affects people with learning disabilities in similar ways to people without learning disabilities. However, there are some important differences. People with a disability are at greater risk of developing dementia as they at a younger age, and specifically those with Down syndrome. It's not 100% by any means, but it is a higher rate. They often show different symptoms in the early stages of dementia and are more likely to have other physical health conditions at the same time. They're less likely to receive a correct or early diagnosis of dementia, and they may not be able to understand the diagnosis. They may experience a more rapid progression of dementia, although this can be complicated by difficulty or delay in that diagnosis. And they will need specific support to understand the changes that they're experiencing and to access appropriate services. So that's our why. So our work started in Lucas County with a grant. Memory Lane Care Services applied for a grant through the Administration for Community Living, and they used their existing networks in the aging community, as well as inviting new partners in the disability sector to join the work. And they compiled a team of dedicated agencies to join in this work. And so you can see on the screen the original 8 grant partners: Aetna Better Health of Ohio, the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging, Manahan, the Ohio Council for Cognitive Health, the Area Office on Aging of Northwest Ohio, Lucas County Board of DD, Memory Lane Care Services, and ProMedica. And so we represent 4 of those 8 agencies. And the mission and the focus of the grant is to improve the quality of life for people living with dementia and/or IDD and their caregivers, while increasing community awareness around dementia-capable practices in the greater Toledo area. Another important collaborator on our grant is our partnership with Scripps Gerontology Center at Miami University. They are the evaluator for our grant, and they handle all of the pre and post evaluations for every training that we offer. They also track attendees to show the reach of the grant work. And the infographic that you see on your table was compiled by them. You're welcome to take one of those in the spring of this year. And there is another version being compiled actually right now because of the semi-annual report that was due October 31st. So this will be updated shortly with our new numbers and new reach and focus of the grant. So in August of last year, the grant partners and other interested parties convened for a compression planning meeting. And the group spent a considerable amount of time focusing on the work that we'd like to accomplish in creating a multi-year roadmap. And really, we want to make sure that the work that we are doing will continue on after the grant ends in September of 2022. And so we spent time focusing on our why, that every life has value and meaning, and that everyone should live free of the stigmas associated with dementia and intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so through compassion, collaboration, and community, we facilitate an inclusive culture free of myths and full of hope. So as a result of that outreach and the new Dementia Coalition, we added some new members to the original 8 grant partners. And now several counties in our region are represented on the coalition. And so you can see Ottawa and Wood County Hospice of Northwest Ohio that serves Lucas and Wood, and then the Jewish Family Social Services. So our coalition members have been invited to complete a coalition commitment form. And so this is just an opportunity to really have tangible, specific actions and not just being a partner, but what can we do? What can we do to further this work? And so it starts with a Dementia Coalition commitment to them. And so providing opportunities for growth, collaborative environment, respecting and recognizing experiences, and developing activities and events to contribute to our focus of a dementia capable community, as well as up-to-date current resources and information. And then it goes on asking the members to represent the coalition, be committed to the mission and initiatives, just serve as an ambassador so that we can spread the word and spread the work throughout Northwest Ohio. And then finally, on the third, well, it's all one document, but I screenshotted it into 3. But this form also gives them opportunities to choose one or more tangible ways that they can be involved to make the best from everyone's talents. So as you can see, it might be inviting others to coalition meetings, engaging on social media, attending or delivering a training, or referring individuals to the care consultation program. So I think this is really great if you've ever been on other coalitions to have something specific that you can choose to be involved in and take, action steps to spread the word. So I'm going to pass it over to Brittany and Marty.
Thank you. Oh, Marty's going to be in charge of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. So my name is Brittany. I am the Director of Nursing at Manningham, and Marty and I are going to talk a little bit about some of the trainings that some of our grant partners can offer to the community. The first one is behavioral interventions when caring for someone with dementia. As we know, working with individuals with developmental disabilities, behaviors are kind of something that's more of our normal. So when you have a dementia diagnosis mixed in with that, things can get a little more challenging. So what is the purpose of this training? It allows those in the training to gain a deeper insight and understanding of dementia and some of the specific diagnoses. It outlines mood and behavioral symptoms of dementia. It allows for us to find interventions suitable for the challenges that you may be experiencing. And it ultimately helps us better serve those that we are caring for. So who can attend this training? Any family members who are caring for a person with dementia can attend this training. I was like, I don't have it memorized. Any professionals who work in the settings where they may encounter someone with dementia, and then anyone who wishes to have a better understanding about dementia. So Marty is going to kind of go a little more in depth about behavioral interventions.
Thanks, Brittany. Well, again, much of this work was done with the grant support from the Administration for Community Living. So we really want to acknowledge them and thank them for us developing this behavioral interventions program, as well as the adaptations for dementia friends that we'll talk about in a little bit, and some of the other statewide work that we're able to do. So in addition to the purpose of the training that you see there on the left-hand side, we really, this program really helps people identify different causes of dementia, along with common signs and symptoms. So we do talk about Alzheimer's because that is the most common type of dementia, generally speaking, but especially those who have Down syndrome are at higher risk for Alzheimer's disease. But we talk about Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia, and some of the other kinds. We also talk about the importance of timely detection and how that baseline is so important to get done at age 35. We also talk about common behaviors that are sometimes associated with dementia in the general population as well in the IDD community. So we teach people to act like a detective, to really look at that behavior and apply the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. What time of the day is this happening? Who is involved in the situation? And really try to break down the behavior, because we see behavior as communication. That's how we want to encourage others, that this behavior is that person's way of communicating a need, or other things like that. So we look at determining the cause of the behavior. Is it the environment? Is the person bored? Is the person hungry, in pain? Really looking at what some of those underlying issues might be. We apply strategies to reduce that behavior, possibly prevent it from occurring later. We also give people resources that they can go to. So these would be specific to Lucas County, but we also, when we present this program in other parts of the state, will customize that resource list for that area. There are 5 case studies within the behavioral interventions training. One of the 5 studies focuses on an individual who has Down syndrome and also Alzheimer's disease. So we work through those case studies, break out into small groups, come up with some of the, use some of the tools that we present in the program. So I'm going to go to the next, let's see, I guess I've got the clicker here. Yeah, I'm going to go to the next one. So pass it back to.
Thank you, Marty. So another program that we offer is Dementia Friends for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. So basically, we're going to start with what is a dementia friend, and that is someone who learns about dementia and uses that knowledge to promote actions that help people living with dementia. Anyone can be a dementia friend. It is important that those with intellectual and developmental disabilities receive support and understanding when they have a dementia diagnosis. And most adult individuals with an intellectual or developmental disability are living within a community setting, either independently or with support of friends, families, or service providers. And that makes it a little more difficult to maybe gain access to the supports they need with aging and dementia. So again, I'm going to pass it back to Marty to kind of go into a little more depth with this.
Thanks, Brittany. I'm just going to highlight a couple things here. In the lower middle there, you see it's important to set up that support system, and that includes the whole community. So we're talking about people that work in the grocery stores and wait on us at the restaurants, cut our hair, our members of a faith community. It really takes the whole community to build that system of support. And Dementia Friends is this nice little 1-hour tool that does that. Again, with the help of the grant, we were able to adapt the Dementia Friends program, which is a global program, actually. And the general version of it, we were able to take and adapt it for those who live with IDD. So some of the special components of it is that it really, and I have to say that, Jennifer, you mentioned Dr. Phil Mckaylan. We worked with him, and we also worked with a couple other resources from the National Task Group on Dementia and Intellectual Disabilities. And we were able to adapt the workbook to include some of the more common symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and Down syndrome. In the general population, we think of the early sign as being memory loss. That's not the case in those with Down syndrome and Alzheimer's disease. It's that change in abilities. It's that reduced enthusiasm. It may be new seizure onset activity that wasn't there prior. So some of the symptoms are different, and we really point that out. We also point out, and Jennifer touched on this, that nowhere does the percentage of Alzheimer's disease in Down syndrome come close to 100%. There is an increased risk, but we talk about how people in their 50s have about a 30% risk of Alzheimer's when they have Down syndrome. When they get in their 60s, it's about 50%. So you see that number doesn't come near to that 100% that was reported many, many years ago. So the Dementia Friends for IDD really does a nice job of dispelling some of those myths as well. We also talk about communication tips, where we all need to slow down, practice the pause, don't use so many words in our sentences. Typically 7 words or less are very helpful. Make sure the person can see your whole face, get down to eye level. So a lot of great basic communication tips are part of this program as well. I could say more, but I'm going to move on.
One more for me. Okay, thank you, Marty. So a small work group actually within our Dementia Coalition in Lucas County felt it was imperative for individuals served to understand dementia. I can't even count how many instances I ran into where an individual and their peers don't understand why their loved one is acting the way that they are. So we decided to take the Dementia Friends for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities and actually adapt it so the individuals that we serve can understand what we're doing and understand the program. So although we are in the final stages of piloting, I think we've been working on this since February of this year. We are looking forward to sharing the actual completed program in Ohio, and then hopefully it'll go further than that. So back to Marty.
Well, and a couple just couple quick comments here. When we started to do this adaptation work, we realized that there's not a whole lot out there that speak specifically to those with dementia and IDD. We did find a video that we put into the presentation, and it's called, it's from People First Wisconsin. And the director talks about the changes that she sees in her friend who has Down syndrome and now Alzheimer's disease. So we inserted that video in the presentation. We also kind of condensed, instead of going through the list of 10 warning signs, we incorporated some of the warning signs with what you can do, how you can help. So it kind of combined our warning signs and our communication tips together. This was a great group to work with this. We got great feedback, especially from Jennifer and from Brittany. Everyone will get a certificate at the end of the program that says, I'm a dementia friend. You can see our little buttons here. Those are some of the visuals that accompany this program. So everyone will get the certificate. They will get an action item list. Here's what I'm going to do as a dementia friend. So this has been piloted in several groups, and we were able to create some of these materials based on that feedback.
Thank you, Marty. All right. Do you care if I take your spot?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Do you want me to click?
I think I got it.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lindy Winslower. I'm a social worker at Memory Lane Care Services. So I kind of come from an aging background, but it's been such a pleasure to work with people like Jennifer and Brittany from the IDD world. They've really educated me a lot, and I'm grateful to be here. Anyways, so as part of our project, we wanted to offer some in-depth trainings on intellectual and developmental disabilities and dementia. So we decided that we would work with our speaker, Dr. Phil Mckaylan, who I realize we've mentioned a lot now in this training, but he's been such a great asset to our project. So we offered 5 trainings total, and I'm going to go a brief overview of each of the trainings. So we've offered those twice so far. So each training twice, back in the fall of 2020, and then again in the spring of 2021. And over I guess it would be 150 individuals attended at least one or more trainings. So these range from a variety of different services, being the aging professionals and specifically, obviously, the IDD workforce as well. So the audience of these trainings were from the greater Toledo area. So we were reaching obviously our grant area within Northwest Ohio, but we also partnered with Summit County Public Health Department. They have a similar grant through Administration for Community Living. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to partner with them. And we were able to expand the range of people who were able to attend this training, which is really great. So not a lot of pros to COVID-19, but one of those things that we were able to offer these trainings virtually. So it was a really great opportunity for us to expand these trainings as well. So I mentioned, this is a great picture of Dr. Phil Mckaylan. So he is a professor and director at Temple University, and he is an expert on IDD and dementia. So some of his interests include, creating aging prepared communities and working on developing community projects to support aging individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I mentioned that these trainings have already been delivered twice, and they were so highly requested that we're going to be delivering them for a third time in hopefully coming up in spring of 2022. So as you can tell, these were really well received trainings and highly requested within the organizations and individuals to be offered again. So again, I mentioned some, just some benefits of having it virtual. In one of those with Dr. Phil Mckaylan's, his training style, he did a great job of using all those features that we see on the platform. He did a great job of consistency through these 5 trainings using breakout rooms, the chat feature, having individuals come off mute and share their experiences was definitely some of the highlights of the trainings. So really quickly, I'm just going to go over all 5 trainings. So the first one we just called the basics training, excuse me. And this is really looking at, the signs and symptoms of dementia within individuals with IDD. They were also looking at, day-to-day care, as well as some challenges that, professionals might encounter when working with individuals with IDD and dementia. So a great example of another way that our evaluation team at Miami University Scripps Gerontology Center was able to help us is that they offered a pre and post test questionnaire for this training in particular. And it was really able to give us some great outcomes of the positive attitudes that were increased, as well as knowledge and confidence of working with people with IDD and dementia. So the next one was the Train the Trainer, and this was actually a training program that allowed individuals who attended the basic training to attend the Train the Trainer and get the materials that they could deliver the basics training within their own organizations to their own intended audiences. So again, during the Train the Trainer, a brief overview of dementia to make sure the trainers had a good understanding of that. As well as a lot of Dr. Phil Mckaylan shared a lot of the techniques and knowledge that he has from being a presenter, that he was able to share a lot of those great tips with the attendees for this program. Another really great piece of this was all the guidebooks and toolkits and resources that he was able to share with these attendees, so that way they could effectively deliver this in their communities. So as you all heard about Dementia Friends and behavioral interventions, and now about the IDD trainings, so we really put an emphasis on offering Train the Trainers within our project, because we realized that eventually that this grant is going to end, and we want to make sure that people are able to continue to offer these great education programs within their, their organizations, whether that be for, new staff or volunteers, that, the list kind of goes on of who could attend these types of trainings. So the next training is on symptom identification and assessment. So Marty, actually, I'll briefly go over this because Marty kind of talks a little bit about the importance of a baseline assessment with individuals with IDD. That way, later down the road, if there's signs or symptoms of dementia, they can take a look back at that assessment. So he really went over what assessments are available, as well as more importance on having detailed descriptions of abilities, their social functioning as well. Whoops. Okay. So the next training was on redesigning day, employment, and living situations. So this looked at kind of a wide variety of things. So one of them was looking at the environment, and he gave a lot of great specific examples of how things even such as paint colors can make a difference when someone's experiencing cognitive impairment. It so happens that, their visual, either having visual changes, some spatial difficulties and things like that. If you're talking about, I think it's a really great example that always sticks with me, is if you're in a white bathroom and there's a white toilet and there's some issues going on there, maybe change the color of the wall so that way, those things can stand out. So really taking a good look at the environment if you're trying to address some of these challenges. As well as, he talked about, I learned the term snoozling room. Many of you may be familiar with that, but some, and other environmental things that you can do to support individuals with IDD as well. And this training was really intended for like first line managers as well as administrators, so that way they can actually implement some of these changes within their, adult day programs and things like that. Okay. So the last training was on advanced dementia care. So this really was one of my favorite trainings, and it Dr. Phil talked a lot about the importance of, we all talk about person-centered care, but really person-centered care, and making sure that if you didn't get the opportunity to ask that individual what is most important to them at the end of their life, or maybe they weren't able to tell you, maybe ask the person that was closest to them what would be most important to them, who would or if it's a staff member, someone that would be able to make sure that that person is comfortable and happy at the end stages of their life. Oops. Okay. Jennifer, this one's really quickly. Pass it to Jennifer.
So myself and a few other staff at the Lucas County Board of DD attended the Train the Trainer, as well as actually all of Dr. Phil's presentations, but we were really fortunate to be able to go ahead and deliver that. He gave us about 3 hours worth of material. We chose to present 2 hours of it. But that's the beauty of the Train the Trainer and all of that material, is because we can present it again. We can vary the lengths of time and the method of training, break it up into lunch and learns or whatever. And so we also had a lot of folks from our provider community in Lucas County who attended the Train the Trainer, which is great because that means they can train their staff, new staff with turnover and that kind of thing. And so that was just a really great opportunity. I also wanted to mention that the basics of IDD that Phil did is linked on our resource slide. It's on Memory Lane's YouTube channel. So you'll get that. And if you want to take a look, really great information.
Okay. So another program that we were able to implement through our grant work was the Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging Care Consultation Program. So we were able to offer this program as an additional support to individuals with IDD who had a diagnosis of dementia or who are at risk for developing dementia. So this is a program that's done all over the telephone and email contacts. And this program could benefit many individuals. So the individual with IDD, as well as, let's say it was a paid caregiver or professional, as well as family caregivers can benefit from this program and utilize this program as an additional support to try to navigate IDD and dementia. So as I mentioned, it's done over the telephone, which has been really great with, obviously, with COVID-19. This is also an evidence-based program, and some of the proven outcomes include improved quality of care for the individual, as well as reduced strain and stress for caregivers or family members who are involved, as well as improved access to information in, about services and things like that. So really a lot of great, evidence-based outcomes that are attached to this program. Oops. So care consultants work with the, we would call them the identified caregiver, a person that is trying to assist that individual who has IDD and dementia. And they work with care consultants to, like I said, kind of navigate. One of the benefits is they're able to navigate some of the services that are out there. So as you all know, there's so much information out there, and the care consultants can really take the time to dig through some of those services and go through the weeds with that identified individuals and try to improve their access to care and information. So this is just a quick snapshot of what kind of the program looks like. And these are all what we would call domains. So as you can see, there's such a wide range of domains that are eventually covered. So these are all basically kind of concerns. And over about a 4-month initial assessment phase, the care consultant will go over, will try to cover most of these domains to make sure that all the key concerns are being flagged. And that way we can start to work, care consultants start to work with individuals to try to address how we can help navigate this. And as you mentioned, there's the care receiver, but also the caregiver. So we're also looking at the needs of the caregiver, the person who's taking care of that one. Let's say, they're an elderly person taking care of their one of their children who has IDD. This could definitely be a great beneficial program for them to also address some of their healthcare concerns as well. And oops, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. This is another quick snapshot of the action plan. So this is just an example of what an action plan might look like. So with all those concerns, care consultants really work with the individuals to create a type of action plan and action steps. That way, you have a plan in place, and that makes people feel empowered that they're able to do something about their situation. And there is, a plan that you can, continue to follow up with care consultants with. And it also feels really great to be able to check something off your list. Sometimes people get, down about their situation and not feeling like there's a lot of help available, but with things like something as simple as an action step really helps people to be able to check something off their list and improve the quality of their life or someone they're caring for life. And so in Lucas County, obviously this is being currently funded by our Grant for Administration for Community Living. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to contact myself at Memory Lane or Jason McAllister, who works with Jennifer at the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I will note that that there's going to be another slide that has Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging contact information, and they could also answer any questions if you're interested in learning more about this program as well. And lastly, with the BRI Care Consultation Program, this has been really such a wonderful program we've been able to implement with our project, but it's also come that other counties that are grant sites also have grants through Administration for Community Living are offering this program as well for individuals with IDD. So as you can see, they're startup there. So in Athens, Summit, in Washington, and Cuyahoga County, they're delivering this program that's being funded by a grant. So if you live or work in these counties, you could reach out directly to these sites and ask them about the program, as well as Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging. I know that's just their phone number, and somehow the Twitter logo covers up their website, but it's benrose.org for Benjamin Rose Institute on Aging website. You could also find information about the program there as well. And I think I'm going to give it to Marty.
Thanks, Lindy. I'm going to see how we're doing on time here. Oh, couple minutes here. So I'll just briefly, I'll just briefly talk a little bit about some of the other statewide expansion of the work that's been done. Thanks, Lindy, for pointing out those other counties that are offering the Benjamin Rose Care Consultation Program. Those counties are also doing Dementia Friends for IDD. You can find those in that county. Dementia Friends for IDD is also a statewide program. And I just wanted to point out too that the GWEP, the Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program in Ohio, they are using some of this work. They're putting some of Dr. Phil Mckaylan's trainings on their website. They're in the process of doing that. And several of those grant partners, there are many with the GWEP grant. Many of those grant partners are attending, have attended some of Dr. Phil Mckaylan's trainings, but they also participate in echoes that are addressing IDD and dementia. And most of those are coming out of the Rhode Island Geriatric Education Center. If you're interested in joining any of the echoes, I don't know if you're familiar with that education format, but the core group of people in the echo present on a certain topic, and then they present a case study. And the case study is really examined through this process. So that's just some of the great work that's going on. Jennifer and I were able to present Dementia Friends for IDD at the 2020 National Down Syndrome Adult Summit. That was a great way to reach, that ended up being virtual right in the middle of the pandemic, but we were able to reach a lot of folks with that program as well. So I just want to ask any of the other presenters if they have anything to add. I thank you for your time, and I don't know if we have any time for questions. Oh, geez, I was rushing right through it. I apologize for that. I'm used to going on the hour, like 9 to 10, 10 to 11. Yeah. So did anyone have anything to add about the statewide work that's being done? We also, through the Summit County grant, they've done a great job of reaching out to some of the county boards. And through that, we just did a big training with the Richland County Board of Developmental Disabilities. A lot of their SSA staff attended that training. And that just the ripple effect of that. In fact, they just did a statewide training where they trained about 175 county board staff. So that was in the Dementia Friends for IDD program. So oh, sure. It's so to just tell you a little bit about the difference in the grants. We're involved with 3 ACL grants, the Administration for Community Living. And in Summit County, their emphasis is on, in addition to some of the other topics that we already talked about, they are reaching their gatekeepers in their communities. So these would be the folks in the banks, the first responders, those that might be the first ones to identify that there's changes going on in that individual. So they're using behavioral interventions, and they're using Dementia Friends to reach those groups in their community. In the urban rural grant, this is kind of an interesting setup because the rural portion of the grant obviously is Athens and Washington counties in Southeast Ohio. And then the urban part of that component is Cuyahoga, which includes Cleveland area. So we're able to compare some of the differences as we deliver these services in those regions of the state. And they also include a program called SHARE, which is an intervention program for those in the early stage of Alzheimer's disease. So I think we do have a little bit of time to talk more specifically maybe about either the behavioral interventions training or some of the other components of the grant, if anyone wants to add anything. Oh, before I give you the mic, I want to show you just a couple things. Sorry, Jennifer. When we do behavioral interventions, people get a manual. This is when we were in person pre-COVID. So this manual gives them a lot of the tools. You're welcome to take a look at this after the program. I only have the one copy, so we can look at it after the program. Some of the tools that we use for Dementia Friends, as I may have held this up already, but this program, it's global. And it comes with these preset materials that you can download and get printed off, the buttons and the magnets. And these programs are these posters too. The Dementia Friends, when we do it in person, everybody gets this nice little 10-page workbook that they follow along. When we do it virtually, we can, and hybrid, we can use multiple tools for delivery of the program. The Dementia Friends is a train the trainer program. So we call them champions. So those interested in delivering the program will be a champion, and they get extra materials such as this guide. They get all sorts of PowerPoint presentations in order to deliver it. So now I'll give it to you.
So I wanted to say a little bit more about our baseline assessments. So when we consulted with Dr. Phil Mckaylan, he really expressed the importance of doing those baseline assessments. So my background before my current role was provider behavior support, and I do a lot of training in trauma-informed care. And so if you work in this field, you've seen a lot of situations where behaviors are just kind of looked over, considered to be part of somebody's, disability, whether that's mental health or trauma, dementia. So I really feel passionate about, having these baseline assessments, which can be so useful regardless of what the change ends up happening. So right now, one of the things that we're doing for the next year is hiring a care coach who's gonna kind of be embedded at Lucas County and help us assess everybody that we can get to in a year, specifically those with a diagnosis of Down syndrome who are 35 and older. And then everybody who's 50 and older is where we're starting to get a dementia baseline. And there's a specific assessment that was recommended to us. It's the Ntg assessment. It's takes about 15 minutes to complete. And it's a snapshot of where the person's current functioning level is right now. So that if, a year from now, 5 years from now, we can go back and look and say, okay, well, they were able to do that. Because a lot of times with staff turnover, our memories aren't that great. And I think they were able to do that in the past. So we're really excited about having this, getting these completed for the individuals that we serve. We think they'll be really helpful down the line in a variety of ways. But the NTG is free. It's online. You don't have to have a specific degree or whatever to complete it. It really is best to be completed by a caregiver, direct support professional, somebody who knows the person really well. So that's one of kind of our next step goals. And we're excited to be able to work on that project. As far as training, the behavioral interventions training is so helpful. It's really kind of clarified some things that people may have assumed were behaviors, but could be actually symptoms of dementia, and really practical tips, as well as one of the trainings that Lindy talked about, the environmental modifications. The bathroom one kind of got all of our attention, but the importance of simple like paint contrast, lighting, not having throw rugs on the floor. Some of these simple things that we can do that can help people live longer in their residences or stay longer in their day programs, so that they can age in place, because we know how transitions are very difficult for most people, and especially people with disabilities. But think about put on top of that dementia. And so things are already happening within this person's brain and body. And then we're going to transition them to a new setting because the other setting can't, sustain them. So we really feel like this is kind of an opportunity to give better care, educate the staff so that they're not frustrated or confused and so these trainings have really just shown a lot of practical things that staff can do. And really not for a lot of money. It's more just being aware.
With Jennifer, you point out, we like in all of these programs that we do to make Northwest Ohio dementia inclusive, we like to give specific examples of how you can modify your environment with painting the wall behind the toilet a bright blue so it stands out better. And with the Dementia Friends for IDD program, one thing we have our audiences do is to write out the steps to packing your lunch. And it's really an eye opener for our audiences when we start to list, do you want to do this together? What are some of the steps to packing your lunch? What are you hungry for, right? That's number one. What's in my refrigerator? What's in my pantry? Where's my lunch box? Any other ones? You get the idea here. There's a lot of decisions you have to make. Can I get it all in my lunch box? Do I have to refrigerate it? Does this need to be frozen? All these decisions that you have to make when you pack your lunch. And now, as Jennifer said, you put on top of that dementia that causes trouble with memory and task orientation, task sequencing. And those tasks that we may have done with our eyes closed and so routine aren't so routine anymore for individuals. So these are some of the interactive exercises that we'll do with our Dementia Friends program, just to really give people the videos that we put in there. Really, we hear from people that are living with dementia and they really resonate with our audiences. Before COVID hit, we only did our Dementia Friends programs in person. That was the only way we were allowed to do them. And then after COVID, we quickly were, allowed to switch that to webinar format. So we've been able to, I think, enhance it by inserting some of these videos. And certainly we've been able to reach wider audiences with the virtual format. So I will, did you want to? So there's our contact information, and we are happy to, I'll say on my behalf, and I think for the rest of us, there's our emails. We have our business cards up here. If you'd like to take one of those and look at any of the resource materials that we brought here today. Again, our goal working together on this grant, and I could say that we just have this great grant partner team. We're so happy to see each other in person. Our whole goal is to just make Northwest Ohio more dementia inclusive for those with IDD, for those without IDD, just bringing the whole community together to support those individuals is just very, very important. And it's been great work that we've been able to do. Are there any questions, comments, suggestions from the audience? The question was, if you were interested in implementing this at your facility, how would you go about doing that? Are you speaking about one of these specific programs, the behavioral interventions, the Dementia Friends? Okay, so the question was about Dementia Friends for IDD. How would you go about implementing that? The first contact would be just to reach out to me, and we'll discuss that. What we usually do is, for your organization, we'll offer a Dementia Friends session. So that's virtual, it's in person, it's hybrid. So we determine what's the best avenue of delivery of that program. The Dementia Friends session is going to take about 60 to 75 minutes. After that, people will self-identify and say, you know what, I really like this program. I think I want to deliver it myself in my community. So we'll bring those people back for about another hour, hour and a half, and we'll talk about some of the specifics of how to deliver the program, the rights and responsibilities of a champion, that type of thing. So the champion training total is 2.5 hours. The Dementia Friends session itself is 60 to 75 minutes. Does that help with that question? So I'm Marty, just reach out to me and we can get that set up. That's how we did with Richland County. That I don't know if anybody's from that area of the state, but it was great. And it happened to be on right around Halloween. So some of the folks were dressed up. It was Zoom. I did it virtually, but they had some folks in person. So I got a little confused because one guy had his name as David Rose from the TV show. And so I'm like, is he really David Rose, or is he dressed up as David Rose? And he was actually dressed up as David Rose. He did a good job. Any other questions? Well, thank you. And feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions or concerns, and take a look at our resources up here. Thank you.